Do not worship me. Please do not worship me. Who am I? I'm not you. Do not worship him or her or God. Why not? Why not worship these beings? One may ask. Because they're not you. And the least common idea is the idea that all ideas are ultimately trash. Because all ideas are ultimately trash, including this idea, there is nothing that can be attached to, that can be clinged to, which produces anything other than bondage. Meaning, if you are worshiping me, or God, or this goddess or that god, no matter what your intentions are, you are consenting to enslavement. Do not worship the tree. The tree is not you. Do not worship the water is not you. Revere it and move along. Revere it and move along. But how do you revere it? Can't you revere it without intentionally revering it? Isn't my pleasant interaction with the water and with the mountains and with the dirt and with the air and with the food enough? This is why I've never been a fan of prayer before meal. It makes sense sometimes, sure, to pause and give reverence to your food or your drink. But when I drink a glass of juice, I'm revering it. I don't need to vocalize that reverence. Meaning, reverence is what it is. So let us revere existence, but let us not put anything on a pedestal other than the self. Why? Why would that be the exception? Put nothing on a pedestal other than yourself. Why would that be the exception? Because when you close your eyes, who are you staring into? Yourself. Ultimately, you shall always retreat back into the self. Therefore, it is this retreat into the self which tells us volumes of our relationship with the divine. Most beings have a poor relationship with the self. Therefore, they cannot truly imbibe in their own magic, because when they close their eyes, they don't want to acknowledge that the void they're staring into is their own void. It's just darkness. It's just, when you close your eyes, there's a lack of light. What's the big deal? The big deal is you are only you. So until you revere yourself, truly and authentically, You shall not feel revered by the universe. And you want to feel revered, yes you do. I'm not sure you want to be worshipped. I don't want to be worshipped. What good does worship do? Because when I hear the word worship, I think of one-way reverence. Worship to the God, worship to the Godhead, worship to Jesus, worship to Shiva, worship to... Oh, shut up. Shut up. Your nonsense. Yeah, I'm talking to you, oh yeah. You thought you were just turning on a YouTube video? Oh no, this is getting personal now. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. Just look at yourself. You can't escape that. You can't escape that. Because you can't escape yourself. So you can try to elevate everything else but you, hoping you will dissolve eventually. But that's not how it works. That's not how this works. But what do I know? Now, the most common narrative in this matrix is that the self is dangerous. We may not overtly be told this in such a brutal way, but we are told that we should be good members of organizations and of society. We're told to align with belief systems. So the message from day one in this matrix is quite clear. It's you're a small piece of a whole. And that's it. Therefore, know your place. And don't blow yourself up to be that which you're not. However, when we are told to embrace the self by society, it's usually in relation to a persona. We've all been told, go after your dreams, make it big, shine like a star. This seems to be about the self, but these phrases have nothing to do with the true self. Shine like a star is all about external presence. And external presence is important, but that's just one aspect of you. The deep dive within is what has not been advertised. The deep dive within. It all boils down to not distracting yourself. When we distract ourselves, we wish to get rid of the self. After all, what are you doing when you sit and watch entertainment for a few hours, if you happen to do that? What are you doing? Well, on one level, you could say, I'm just enjoying this program. But the fact is, when you're watching the program, you may forget about the self, even for a slight moment. And where are you in that instance? well, you're kind of nowhere. I mean, you're somewhere, but you're nowhere. The more pronounced the true self becomes in our experience, the less we want to distract ourselves. Because to distract is to avoid, and to avoid is to hide, and to hide is to be a coward, and to be a coward is to not have courage, and to not have courage is to not have heart. We've been told empathy and love is weak in its manifestations and soft. And love absolutely can and should be soft in particular moments. But when the heart is activated, when the heart is truly activated, there is a strength, a masculine strength, we could say, that only accepts the eternal and shall make it be known the discontentment with the temporary. One reason beings feel the self can't lead to salvation is because of this I'm not worthy complex. I'm not worthy of self-acceptance. I'm not worthy of feeling beautiful and acknowledging beauty. And I would say this I'm not worthy talk or thoughts actually come from conditioning. That the self is evil or to be discarded. If we externalize the divine in any capacity, we still don't get it. If you can't see the divine can't see you. This is a cosmic principle. Quite a strange one. If you can't see the divine can't see you. That kind of goes against, well, the dogma that's been peddled. I thought the divine is all-knowing. Aren't we protected always? Well, we are, but it's not protected as if there's angels above looking down on us, protecting us. Oh, no. The heart protects itself, and a being who is connected to the heart is connected to that protection. But if that protection is ignored, if we choose not to connect with ourselves, then we choose to wander in search of what? The divine? The divine is accessed through the self. How is that possible? Well, hey, you're a self. By acknowledging there is a divine presence, you're acknowledging that divine presence can be felt and channeled in the self. You dummies! Oh. And maybe you're not a dummy. Maybe you align with every word I'm saying. So you can pat yourself on the back. You are not a dummy. love and empathy and compassion are viewed in such odd lights here in this matrix. Everyone seems to be obsessed with compassion. The news anchors, the politicians, the celebrities, your neighbors. It's like this world is full of narratives that wish to pull at heartstrings. And in this heartstring-pulled world, there's this notion that you gotta accept everybody and love everybody. You could walk up to any stranger and ask them, do you think it's acceptable and wise to accept and love everyone? Most beings shall respond, yes, absolutely. Yes, that's the ideal. But what does this mean? You see, when you think of loving everyone, what are you thinking of? An idea. I mean, then what? Okay, so you love everybody. I accept that. Now what are you doing with that love? Because if that mental epitome does not translate into actuality, then what's going on? Don't tell me who you are. Show me who you are. There is so much focus on loving others and spreading love and light, and not enough focus on loving the self. Love yourself, but authentically. This idea of love yourself has been turned all too often into pretty pony positivity porn. I'm not suggesting to ignore what makes you uncomfortable so you can wrap yourself in this warm blanket of I love myself. No. Truly love the self. To truly love the self, it takes embracing the pain that we have avoided. This isn't pretty pony positivity porn. When I say love yourself, what I also mean is dive into the parts of yourself that you have been avoiding. To love the self is to declare healing. I choose to heal. And when we choose to heal, we realize there is sickness to be healed. But maybe it's easier to just worship God or something. Yeah, let's do that. I am making the claim that you don't have to love anybody. That this acknowledgement of love everyone is a basic acknowledgement. It's an idea. Love everybody. Spread love and light. Well, first of all, how dare you think you can spread your energy to fill other beings' cups? Don't you know your cup can only be filled by yourself? And you know that deep down, and I know that deep down. So if we can only fill ourselves with our own divine nectar, then what's up with this spread love and light thing? And I get it. Many of you may listen to this and think, well, You're blowing this out of proportion. What's wrong with love and light? Well, nothing. Nothing specifically. But it's the spreading part that bewilders me. So, let's step back from all these concepts. Spreading energy, connecting with ideas of worship to other gods or godheads or beliefs. Where's the self in all of this, huh? Well, it should be abundantly clear by now that there is no self in this world that is touted as supreme. Oh no. It is your responsibility to know the supreme you. Thus, you can shake hands with the divine and stare God directly in the face, or the goddess. Because guess what, honey boo? You are that entity, that force, that presence. You are the angelic and the demonic. And these two polarities, they merge into the heart space. We have said, we are but pieces of the whole. But if you know about fractals, you know that each piece of the whole actually contains the entirety of the whole within that piece. How can we relate this to self-realization? Well, yourself is a fractal. Meaning, the more you harmonize with the self, the more expanded your fractal becomes. Therefore, your so-called piece of the whole has the potential to expand to the entirety of the whole and beyond. It's time we stop feeling small. I get what you're saying, Hermes, one could say. I see what you're saying, Hermes. But don't you think you're still being just kind of egotistical? I mean, come on. Aren't you just advocating we become kings and queens? How can all of us rule? I am saying, and by the way, that voice was quite annoying, but I am saying that we all, living souls, have the potential to be as kings and queens, but without rulership and without hierarchy. You see, if all beings are kings and queens, existing within their expanded fractals, then, as far as I'm concerned, that's a party. And there is no hierarchy. Is that okay? You decide. Thank you for listening.